everyone, and welcome to this year's class project house build. Like I said in the last class project house series, this is through our vocational school's construction trades program. Last year I was a junior and this year I'm a senior, which means that this is my second and final house build that I am incredibly lucky to be a part of. I recommend going back and watching the other series first if you haven't already. I got a really late start on documenting that house build process as this YouTube channel did not exist when we first began construction. I explained the program a little more in depth in those videos, but of course you can also leave any questions or comments you have for me in the comments down below. So this year is a very different experience from last year, as this year we have not one but two teachers and twice the students. Not only that, but this house plan is a much more simple plan, and I must admit that I got a little worried last year when I heard that this house was going to be so much more simple, but since this house has been coming along so smoothly, we decided to add more and more extra design features to make it more intricate and detailed as we go, and it's starting to grow on me. It's a corner lot, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom, 3-car garage, and features tray ceilings in both the foyer and the master bedroom. A few things we are doing differently this year than last year are 9-foot ceilings instead of 8-foot, casement windows instead of single hung. A lot of the framing members construction-wise are different, and cosmetic-wise this year we have decided to go with a traditional layout, more closed concept with modern cosmetics instead of last year, which we did a more modern open concept layout with more traditional cosmetics. I have decided to call this house the distinct house for how much it will stand out in the subdivision when it is all completed. So enough talk, let's begin. So this is really strange to me. This year, instead of regular like 2x10, 2x12 floor joists, we're doing these I-beam things, and I'm kind of concerned. This is 1/2-inch plywood that we are using to support our floor of this house. So what we're using for rim joists are also made of plywood, but they're specifically rim boards this time, which is good. So at least we're not just using random plywood. I can trust this a little better. So with the way that we're nailing these in, obviously, top and bottom into each joist, running across the house, and then on this side where it meets up with one of these joists, one in on the top, one in on the bottom. Well, actually, one in flush through the top, and then, as an example, one in flush through the bottom, and then one toe-nailed into the sill plate, about every foot all the way across. So we ran into this issue with these headers weren't cut, these floor joists weren't cut exactly right. They're a little short, so when we're nailing in the rim joist, there's this gap. So I just took some little cut-offs of 1/2-inch plywood, stick them in there, and nail it in like that. And just like that. We're using 10 penny nails for these, by the way. So the morning class, or the afternoon class, morning class must have marked these where they're supposed to go. So that worked out perfectly. Sturdy with this one. I was not asked to do this, but this is the way that I knew I would have went about it, and everybody else is preoccupied, so I just did that. So we have enough of these rim joists installed that we can actually start subflooring now, which is kind of crazy because it took us probably at least 2 weeks, probably more actually last year, to start subflooring. I was very skeptical of the so-called I-beams that were used for the floor joists, but they seemed to be sturdy enough, and I grew faith in them as time went on. They were also very easy to install, and about a week into the build we had already finished with the floor framing and were ready to start subflooring. When that was all done, to make wall framing easier, this year we decided to sheet and paper the walls while they were still on the ground instead of having to worry about doing it all with the walls standing up. We got all of the exterior walls framed in about a week and all of the interior walls in another week. At this point, I began to realize how much of a challenge keeping my recording inconspicuous was going to be and avoiding recording people's faces. So from this point on in the framing process, there isn't a lot of video footage to be shown, but I was sure to take a lot of pictures. There isn't really much more to be said about the wall framing. Currently, as I am recording these vocals, it is the 11th of January and the house is completely enclosed with windows put in, so in the next video I will cover the roof framing and getting the house enclosed. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those down below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.